Oil is not just energy. It drives many industries and is the foundation of countless products. From plastics and medical supplies to textiles, fibers, cosmetics, and much more. And do you know who is a global leader in producing most of those goods? China, the world's largest oil importer. According to OPEC's latest data, China imported 11 million barrels of crude oil per day in 2024. The US comes in second with 6.6 million barrels a day, India 4.9, South Korea 2.7, and Japan 2.4. The US-Israel war with Iran is putting the global oil market under pressure. Around 20% of the world's oil flows through the Strait of Hormuz. Asian countries have been hit the hardest, as they receive 80% of Gulf oil exports. So why hasn't China raised the alarm over oil shortages?
China is very resilient when it comes to oil supply shocks. It's been building up crude oil stocks in recent years, now well over 1 billion barrels. So this is a considerable buffer when it comes to interruption in the Middle East.
China has also rapidly expanded its electric vehicle fleet in recent years, reducing oil demand on the roads, while steadily increasing domestic oil production. Nearly 75% of the oil China needs is imported. Well over half of it comes from the Middle East. Iranian crude makes up roughly 13% of China's crude imports.
Right now, what we can see is China's March crude imports stays still well above 10 million barrels per day. That's in line with the normal level in 2025.
China may be the largest Gulf oil importer by volume, but its dependency is lower than its neighbors. In East Asia, Japan imports 90 to 95% of its crude oil from the Middle East. South Korea roughly 70%, while China relies on about 54%. China's stockpiling strategy is not only linked to Iran or the current war, it has been preparing for this type of crisis for years.
Yes, I mean, they've been starting maybe 15, 20 years ago, but they've certainly been accelerating in the last 2 or 3 years. And this is not specifically about the Middle East and Iran. It's just this feeling of energy insecurity that's been building since about 2019, initially related to tension with the US.
And that's not all. There is another buffer.
The US also lift the sanctions on Russian crude. We have been seeing or heard the state-owned refineries, they are buying Russian cargoes at this moment.
But Russian oil is only part of China's supply reserve. A much larger volume of Iranian crude is already waiting offshore to be bought. In March, there were around 180 million barrels of Iranian crude oil on tankers in transit or in floating storage. China is Iran's largest buyer, purchasing roughly 90% of Iranian oil exports. That translates to around 160 million barrels. To put that into perspective, the whole world uses about 105 million barrels of oil a day.
And that is, if we say like 162 available for sale right now, that's equivalent to about 3 months of China's demand for Iranian oil.
Nearly all of Iran's sanctioned oil ends up in Shandong province, bought at around half the price of legitimate crude. It is imported by independent oil refineries, known as teapots, because of their shape. The teapot refineries make up around a quarter of China's total refining capacity.
They're certainly still importing Russian and Iranian oil, and they, unlike the big national oil companies, they don't have the state behind them. They're not vertically integrated. So yes, if anybody's going to go bust, it will be the teapot refineries first.
China is also lining up more barrels from West Africa to Latin America to Kazakhstan. But those cargoes take time. Many would only arrive weeks later. So if the war and blockade continues, how long can China avoid the hit?
They haven't tapped their state reserves yet, but I do believe like at some point Beijing might consider to tap the oil reserve. So that means like China is not immune from this war. It's just like in a slightly better position compared to many other countries.